In Brazil, President Luis Lula da Silva defended the country's democracy and sovereignty amid ongoing U.S. threats to its economy and justice system. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Ismail Baghaei rejected the new package of sanctions imposed by the U.S. Treasury Department against the nation. According to local media sources, at least 2 children have died of starvation on Thursday in Gaza. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Brazil, President Luis Lula da Silva defended the country's democracy and sovereignty amid ongoing threats to its economy and justice system by the United States government. Through a social media post, Lula addressed U.S. President Trump's statements referring to the Brazilian administration as an unusual and extraordinary threat, criticizing the process against former President Jair Bolsonaro. The allegations serve as an excuse to impose sanctions on Supreme Court Judge Alexandre de Moraes and a 50% tax on Brazilian exports. In this regard, Lula reiterated the respect for the independence of the judiciary and denounced Moraes as being a target of sanctions motivated by the actions of Brazilian politicians who betrayed the country and its people in defense of their own interests.
I'm leaving here in a hurry because I'm heading to a meeting to defend another kind of sovereignty, the sovereignty of the Brazilian people in response to the measures announced by the President of the United States. So today for me is a sacred day of sovereignty.
Support for Brazil's President Lula da Silva has increased since U.S. President Donald Trump announced imposing 50% tariffs on all Brazilian imports as of Friday. Our correspondent Brian Meir has more details.
The Trump administration has announced that the U.S. government will impose 50% tariffs on all imports from Brazil starting on Friday, August 1st, unless ex-President Jair Bolsonaro's criminal conviction for plotting a military coup is reversed. This has led to heated debate in Brazil's Congress.
It's embarrassing to see members of Congress whose salaries are paid through Brazilian taxes standing here defending the United States and defending taxes of 50% on the backs of the Brazilian people.
Bolsonaro's allies in the far-right Liberal Party are applauding the measure, trying to frame it positively as the Brazil tariff. Meanwhile, deputies from parties aligned with the Lula administration have been more successful in convincing the public that the tariff represents an attempt by the Bolsonaro family, working through their ally Steve Bannon, to blackmail Brazil.
If they are saying it's because of Bolsonaro, then this tariff that they want to impose on Brazil should be called the Bolsonaro tax, which is going to take away Brazilian jobs to create more jobs in the United States. So what now? What now? I want to know if Mr. Bolsonaro, Mr. Tarcísio, Mr. Nicholas will keep wearing their little MAGA hats.
However, neither the Liberal Party nor the parties in the Lula administration's inner circle have enough elected seats to do anything on their own. As has been the case since the end of the dictatorship in 1985, nothing gets done in Congress without the support of the big center-right parties tied to families descended from the slave plantation owners and industrialists who have been powerful actors in Brazilian politics for centuries.
Trump's tariffs has caused an important change in the relationship between the Lula administration and the Brazilian Congress. Political parties from the center-right, known as the Central, have realigned in support of the Lula administration. Earlier, those parties had been acting very hostile to the president.
Recent polls show that public support for President Lula has significantly increased since Donald Trump announced the new tariffs. Brian Meir, teleSUR, Brasilia.
This Thursday, the international campaign Free Cristina is moving forward in Latin America and other parts of the world, aiming to overturn the ruling that keeps the former Argentine president under house arrest. A delegation of Justicialist party legislators traveled to Mexico to launch the Committee for the Liberation of Cristina, and the objective is to consolidate the denunciation of the legal persecution of Cristina Fernandez and to promote a common agenda among political forces in Latin America. In June, the Supreme Court upheld the 6-year prison sentence commuted to house arrest with an electronic monitoring device and political disqualification in a judicial case that jurists consider to be riddled with serious procedural irregularities. In Venezuela, the Voices of the New World Forum closed in Caracas with an address by the President of the National Assembly, Jorge Rodriguez. At the closing ceremony held in the José Félix Rivas room of the Teresa Carreño Theater, Rodriguez stressed the importance of the unity of Global South countries to overcome the hegemonic communication engine. The Venezuelan authority also alerted of ongoing schemes from imperialist forces through social networks aimed at promoting fake news and undermine revolutionary processes. Delegates and communicators from over 30 countries participated in the forum, where the key role of journalists is combating the hegemonic narrative of Western media was among the main topics of debate. And now we have a short break coming up, but first remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, updates and more. We'll be right back, stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. The United States Treasury Department imposed a new package of sanctions against Iran on Wednesday, affecting dozens of individuals, companies and vessels linked to an international shipping network. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent reported that the package consists of more than 115 sanctions imposed today, the most broadest since the Trump administration launched its maximum pressure campaign on Iran. In addition, the Assistant U.S. Treasury Secretary Michael Faulkner stated that the objective of this measure is to limit Tehran's main source of revenue, pressure the government to end its nuclear program, and reduce its ballistic missile program. In a statement, Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Esmail Baghaei issued a strong rebuke following the new United States sanctions against Iran. According to the official, the true aim behind the sanctions is to cripple Iran's development. Baghaei called the move a clear reflection of the hostility of United States policy makers towards the Iranian people. The spokesman also pointed to the United States throwing unprecedented support behind the Israeli regime's attacks on the Islamic Republic last month. Baghaei finally underlined the nation's unshakable resolve to pursue its lofty goals to protect national sovereignty despite Washington's provocations. According to local medical sources, at least 2 children have died of starvation on Thursday in Gaza due to the Israeli genocidal aggression on the Gaza Strip. Sources confirmed the information to news outlets as United Nations agencies and human rights organizations continue to denounce an impossible situation in the Strip as humanitarian aid blockade and relentless Israeli attacks prevent the entry of basic goods. According to recent figures, the total number of hunger-related deaths reached 159, including 90 children. As the United Nations World Food Programme says, nearly 100,000 women and children urgently need treatment for malnutrition. Meanwhile, over 900 people have been killed at the Gazan Humanitarian Foundation's aid distribution sites, where Palestinians seeking food are systematically targeted. Meanwhile, Israeli attacks continue across the Strip with at least 111 Palestinians, including 91 aid seekers, and 820 were injured in the past 24 hours, according to the enclave's health ministry. Among the latest attacks, a strike hit a tent in a displaced camp near Deir al-Bala in central Gaza at 2:30 a.m. local time, killing a father with his 3 kids. Over 60,000 Palestinians have been murdered since October 2023, and thousands more remain under the rubble.
We heard the news at night. We found that he died with his kids, 2 girls and a boy. We were shocked. May God protect us. No one is left from Mohammed Fat's family. Enough. There is nothing left. We put up with being hungry, but now the death of children who had just been born. Why are they being targeted?
At least 80,000 children in Africa are at risk of contracting cholera as a result of heavy rainfall in western and central regions of the continent. The United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, warned that urgent action is needed to prevent a surge in cases that would be devastating for the region. The crisis is exacerbated by the overburden of the health system, flooding and displacement. The Democratic Republic of Congo is the worst affected country in the region, and in July alone, more than 38,000 cases and 951 deaths were reported, 25.6% of which were children under 5. Ongoing cholera outbreaks in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Nigeria are increasing the risk to neighboring countries. On Thursday, Ethiopia will launch the 7th year of its Green Legacy initiative by planting 700 million trees in a single day. Since 6 a.m. local time, millions of people nationwide have been urged to take part, according to Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. This demonstrates the strength, unity and determination of the population. The initiative is crucial if the country is to achieve its goal of planting 7.5 billion trees during the current rainy season from June to September. Since its launch in 2019, Green Legacy has facilitated the planting of over 40 billion trees nationwide. Chinese authorities have reported at least 44 deaths in the last week of July following heavy rainfall. Rescue services are continuing to search for at least 9 missing people. Authorities also report that the rainfall has affected over 300,000 people and 24,000 homes in several mountainous areas of Beijing. In addition to damaging 31 sections of road, the electrical and communication system were damaged, leaving 136 towns without power. The Chinese government has allocated $48.94 million in funds to the areas affected by the rainfall, including Beijing. And we have a second show break coming up. Before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final show break, don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. An F-35 fighter jet has crashed in a field near Lemoore Station, a large U.S. naval air base in California. According to reports, the pilot ejected safely. The accident caused a large fire, footage of which was widely shared on social media. The authorities have not yet revealed details of the incident involving this fifth-generation multi-role fighter aircraft. The military has confirmed that the aircraft was assigned to the VFA 125 Strike Fighter Squadron, which is responsible for training pilots and crew. In an offensive along the southern front, Russian troops have liberated Chasiv Yar, a town of the Donetsk People's Republic, according to the Russian Ministry of Defense. The town's location, which is protected by hills to the east and south, will enable Russian troops to continue to fire on areas still under Kyiv control. Following the commencement of the Russian special operation in 2022, the town served as an operational guard for the Ukrainian Armed Forces Group, with bases for the repair and restoration of armored vehicles operating there. While migration remains one of the most complex phenomena across Latin America, the Venezuelan government managed to rescue migrants who were deported from the United States to a Salvadoran prison. Let's see more of some of their stories in this new chapter of Venezuela on the Move with our correspondent Adriana Sibori.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Es un gusto saludarles. Hoy hablaremos sobre migración.
Hello, it is such a pleasure to greet you. Today we will talk about migration. Its causes are complex. Let's remember, for example, the 2018 caravan of Central Americans when Hondurans, Salvadorans and Guatemalans were fleeing their lands, escaping from violence and poverty. Venezuela is not accepted of this phenomenon. The difficult economic situation generated by the sanctions imposed by the White House on the country led thousands to migrate abroad, many of them to the United States. And now, those who caused the departure of Venezuelans are the ones hunting them down, jailing them and kidnapping minors and undocumented, as it is being denounced by the authorities of the Caribbean nation. These are policies of the Trump administration. However, now Venezuela continues in sustained recovery, changing that landscape. The return becomes a matter of the state seeking protection for its fellow citizens. Let's find out in this chapter more details on their return home. They have been waiting 4 months for this embrace.
I had already lost hope of being with my family again, of being in my country with my people.
Upon arriving on Venezuelan soil, the 252 young migrants reported on the torture and physical and psychological abuse they were subjected to at the extreme security prison in El Salvador.
That day, March 16th, the first thing that welcomed us was the director saying this is hell, and it really was hell.
They were arrested in the U.S. for being undocumented, and without evidence of any crime against them, they were sent to a mega prison in El Salvador, where they were denied the right to a lawyer or family visits.
To manage the release of these boys, well, the Venezuelan justice handed over 10 convicted terrorists and confessed CIA agents who were captured and whose terrorist actions were neutralized. Those they came to commit during the months of July to February this year approximately. Terrorists swapped for innocence. That was a formula.
Attention to migrants is a priority for the Venezuelan state, which in addition to rescuing the kidnapped from the Salvadoran prison, has also repatriated more than 8,000 nationals directly from the U.S. All are provided medical attention upon arrival, and authorities personally transport them to their homes. Conditions are then provided for their reintegration in society, such as employment and access to the educational system, all through the program known as the Back to the Homeland Humanitarian Plan.
I left in 2023. Approximately in August. Deceived. I was sold a dream that turned out to be a nightmare.
Las políticas migratorias.
The migration policies of the Trump administration have caused the separation of many families.
Reclamar, denunciar.
To claim and denounce the kidnapping of Venezuelan girls and boys that occurs today in the United States. 33 Venezuelan girls and boys have been separated from their families. This is another example of the hatred, the fixation against Venezuela. That for them, it's no longer enough to attack our refineries, our oil industry, our financial system. As we have resisted, now they have gone after the migrant people, hitting where it hurts the most, which are the children, and violating all international laws.
El jefe de Estado, Nicolás Maduro.
Head of State Nicolás Maduro has committed to make all the necessary efforts for the minors' return to their families. In the last 12 months, more than 50 aircraft have landed with migrants through the Back to the Homeland program. But since 2018, there have also been planes available for Venezuelans who would like to return voluntarily to their country and don't have the resources to do so. I say goodbye for now, but remain tuned to teleSUR because Venezuela on the Move continues its journey.
And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok as well. Now, to close our new podcast and broadcast, let's listen to part of the performance of the song Alma de Raza Baile of Roxana Carvajal during the gala for the 20th anniversary of our multi-platform. For telesur English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.
What is happening in China? Everything you want